Trae Young and Dejounte Murray
Mhm,
had a slightly negative net rating in their minutes together last season. Going into year two of this backcourt, what have
mhm.
been your early impressions of how they've been playing off one another?
Yeah, I think you can really start to see the idea of sacrifice. I think that was kind of one of the big things with them last season. It was okay, you score, I score. When Trey's not on the floor, that's when I go and get my minutes or my stats, excuse me, my shots, my score, my assists, all of that. Whereas this year, you really see them thinking about the unit as opposed to themselves. And Quinn wants a very unselfish style of basketball. And I think we're seeing that kind of manifest between the two, um, particularly them feeding the person who's the hottest. We saw that in that Minnesota game with DJ going off in that third quarter, having 22 points, a perfect third quarter. And they just fed him. And I think the more that they do that, it trickles down to the rest of the guys. They had 8 players in double figures on Sunday when they played the Milwaukee Bucks, and I think that's just kind of how they want this team to play, and I think because of the attention that those 2 command from defenses, it just works in the Hawks' favor if they can continue to play unselfishly as opposed to trying to go ISO in situations where it doesn't necessarily dictate that. They want them to kick the ball out to a guy like DeAndre Hunter or Jalen Johnson. Obviously, it helps that those 2 guys are actually hitting shots early in the season.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing so far and I'm pretty pleased with is just kind of the unselfishness, as I mentioned. Obviously, you wanna see Trey hit more shots than he has been. He's been pretty inefficient so far in these 5 games, but I think, if I could take away one positive, and I mentioned this to someone yesterday, but he was pretty good as far as not doing those usual chucking up shots early in the shot clock on Wednesday when they played the Wizards. He ended the night 7 of 18, which I know it's not huge, but for Trey, not necessarily inching into the 20s in terms of field goal attempts, I take a positive away from that because that tells me that he's one, reading the game a little bit more appropriately and not forcing the situations. Two, he's putting a lot more trust in his teammates to knock those shots down or find the right spots. And I think it does help that he has guys like Sadiq Bey who can take shots from outside, but can also bully his way into the paint and kind of just like bulldoze guys over just because of how strong he is. So I think that the fact that the Hawks do have a few more options that can make things happen on the offensive end has kind of maybe taken some of the pressure off of Trey to feel like he has to chuck shots up or do things on his own.